She was just a poor orphan, struggling to survive. Her life was filled with pain, hunger, and loss. Until one rainy night, she saved a stranger from a deadly accident. What she didn't know was that the man she rescued was a billionaire, a man who would change her life forever. In a busy city filled with cars, noise, and people chasing their dreams, there lived a young woman named Tamara. Tamara was 23, but hardship had dealt her. Her eyes carried the sadness of someone who had lost too much. Her hands were rough from washing clothes for others, and her feet were used to walking miles just to survive another day. She lived with her two younger siblings, Nora and Michael. They were her only family. The only reason she kept going, because years ago, she lost everything. Tamara was only 16 when her parents died. It was a rainy evening. They had gone for a friend's wedding in another town, laughing as they drove home, but the rain was heavy, the road slippery, and one wrong turn changed everything. Their car slid off the bridge and into the river below. By the time rescuers arrived, it was too late. Tamara remembered standing by the riverside the next morning, holding Nora in one arm and Michael's small hand in the other. She stared at the wreckage pulled from the muddy water and felt her world break apart. That day, Tamara stopped being a child. She became a mother, a sister, and a survivor all at once. Life after that was cruel. Their landlord shouted every week about rent, food was never enough, and school became a dream, too expensive to chase. Tamara dropped out of secondary school and began working as a house cleaner. She washed clothes, fetched water, and did any job that could bring in a few naira. Every night, she came home tired and hungry, but she always smiled for her siblings. "Don't worry," she would say softly. "One day, everything will be fine." But inside, she was breaking. It was a Thursday evening, one of those nights when the air felt heavy and quiet. Nora was coughing again. Michael sat in the corner, silent, his stomach growling from hunger. Tamara had worked all week, but two of her customers refused to pay her. She had only 1,500 naira left. Not even enough for rice. She sat on the bed and pressed her hands to her face. "God, please," she whispered. "Don't let my siblings suffer." Just then, her phone rang. It was Anna, a girl she once worked with at a hotel. "Tammy, long time." Anna's voice was loud and cheerful. "Anna," Tamara said weakly. "How are you?" "I'm fine. Oh, still doing small runs here and there. Money must be made." Tamara didn't reply. She didn't judge. She was too tired. Then Anna's tone changed. "There's a man looking for company tonight. The pay is 100,000. You don't need to do much. Just smile, eat, and make him happy. At least the money will go a long way for you." Tamara froze. 100,000 naira. That was 3 months of food, rent, everything. But something in her stomach twisted. "Anna, I can't do that," she said quietly. "Why? Holy Mary, don't you want to help yourself? Don't you pity your siblings? Just one night," she said. Tamara ended the call, but her heart was racing. 100,000 for one night. She looked at Nora sleeping beside her, coughing softly. She looked at Michael, curled up on their small bed, and then she made a decision that would haunt her for years. By 9 p.m., Tamara was standing in front of Luna Hotel. She wore a simple blue dress and heels she borrowed from Anna. Her hands trembled. Her stomach felt sick. She kept asking herself, "What if my parents could see me now?" Anna met her at the gate, smiling. "Don't be scared. The man is fine, clean, and calm. Just one night. Collect your money and go." Tamara said nothing. The man was older, maybe in his 40s, with a wide smile and a gold wristwatch that glimmered under the lights. "You must be Tamara," he said. "Come, sit." She sat quietly beside him in the hotel bar. Her voice refused to come out. That night felt endless. When it was over, she went to the bathroom, locked the door, and looked at herself in the mirror. Her reflection didn't look like her anymore. "I did it for them," she whispered through tears. "Only for them." She cried until her throat hurt. Then she cleaned herself, took the money, and walked home before dawn. When Nora and Michael woke up, they found food on the table for the first time in days. Bread, milk, rice, everything. "Sister, where did you get all this?" Nora asked excitedly. Tamara forced a smile. "A good person helped us." They believed her, and Tamara swore never to tell them the truth. She used the money to pay rent, buy few clothes for her siblings, and settle debts. but no matter how much she tried to forget, she couldn't. Her body healed, but her heart did not. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that hotel room. She promised herself, never again. No matter what happens, never again. Years passed. Tamara found a better job at a small hotel, cleaning rooms, scrubbing floors, washing sheets. She earned just enough to keep her family alive. She worked quietly, never complained, and stayed away from trouble. One evening after work it began to rain, the kind that soaked the streets, blurred the lights, and turned the city into a dark mirror. Tamara held her broken umbrella tightly as she walked home from work. Her feet hurt, her back ached, and her clothes was damp from the downpour. But she didn't complain. She never did. The streets were almost empty, just a few buses honking in the distance, and the faint echo of thunder rolling across the sky. She walked carefully along the road, her slippers splashing through puddles. All she could think about was getting home to her siblings. But fate had other plans that night. It happened so suddenly. A loud screech tore through the air, followed by a violent crash. Tamara froze. Ahead of her, a black SUV had swerved off the wet road and slammed into a street pole. Sparks flew. Smoke hissed from the bonnet. The driver's head was slumped against the steering wheel. People screamed from a distance, but no one ran toward the car. They just stood there filming with their phones, whispering, afraid. Tamara dropped her umbrella. Her heart pounded. Someone's hurt. She shouted, "Please help." No one moved. So she did what no one else would. She ran to the car. Rain beat against her face as she pulled at the car door. It was stuck. "Come on," she whispered desperately. "Please open." She used all her strength and finally forced it open. Inside, a man was half conscious. Blood trickled from his forehead, and his expensive wristwatch flashed under the broken light. "Sir, can you hear me?" she cried. He groaned faintly. His lips moved, but no words came out. Tamara looked around frantically. "Help! Somebody help me!" A tricycle slowed down nearby. The driver shouted, "Madam, leave him. You can't save him. Please," she begged, her voice trembling. "I'll pay you later. Just help me." Something in her voice must have touched him, because the driver jumped out and ran over. Together, they lifted the man out of the car and placed him in the back seat of the tricycle. "Which hospital?" the driver asked. "Nearest one." Tamara shouted, "Just go." They raced through the flooded streets, the rain pouring harder, thunder cracking above them. Tamara held the man's head on her lap, whispering, "Please don't die. Please." At the emergency room, nurses rushed out and wheeled the man inside. "Are you his relative?" one of them asked. "No," Tamara said breathlessly. "I just found him on the road. Please save him." "Okay, wait outside," the nurse said. Tamara sat in the hallway, soaked to the bone. Her hair clung to her face, her clothes stuck to her skin, and her slippers were muddy. She waited for hours, watching nurses walk past, praying silently. "God," she whispered, "please let him live." Then she fell asleep on the hard plastic bench. Miss, wake up," a soft voice said. Tamara blinked and looked up. A nurse smiled gently. "The man you brought in is awake. He wants to see you." Tamara stood quickly, her heart racing. "He's awake?" "Yes," the nurse nodded. "Come with me." She followed her down a quiet hallway into a private ward. The man lay there, pale but alive. His head was bandaged, but his eyes were open, clear, sharp, and full of confusion. When he saw her, he smiled faintly. "So you're the girl who saved me." Tamara stopped at the door, unsure what to say. "Yes, sir." He studied her for a long moment. "You were out there, in the rain." "Yes." "Why?" he asked softly. "You could have walked away." Tamara looked down. "Because no one else would help." The man smiled, almost in disbelief. "You risked your life for a stranger." She shrugged. "Life is already hard, sir. If we can help someone, we should." He chuckled weakly. "You talk like someone who's been through too much." She smiled faintly. "Maybe." There was silence for a while before he asked, "What's your name?" "Tamara," she said. "Tamara." He repeated slowly, as if tasting the name. "I'm Alexander. Alexander Maurice." By the next day, he was stronger. Tamara visited again to check if he was okay. She didn't stay long. She was shy around him. When she tried to leave, he called after her, "Wait, please." She turned. "Yes, sir. I don't know how to thank you." She smiled. "You don't have to." I'm just glad you're alive. Still, he said gently, you saved my life. I owe you more than words. Tamara shook her head. You owe me nothing, sir. Just take care of yourself. She left quietly, never expecting to see him again. But fate wasn't finished with them yet. A week later Tamara had almost forgotten about him. She went back to her cleaning job, washing sheets and mopping floors as usual. Then, one afternoon, a black car stopped in front of the small hotel. Everyone turned to stare. A handsome man stepped out. The same man from the hospital, now dressed in a sleek black shirt and black trousers. Tamara froze when she saw him. Sir, you came here. He smiled. I had to find you. The manager rushed out, bowing deeply. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome. But Alex's eyes were on Tamara. You didn't tell me where you worked, he said softly. I didn't think it mattered, sir. It does, he said. Because I came to thank you properly. He pulled out an envelope and tried to hand it to her. Take this. Tamara shook her head immediately. No, sir. Please. I didn't help you for money. He smiled, the kind of smile that said he wasn't used to hearing no. You're a rare person, Tamara. I wish more people were like you. She smiled shyly. Thank you, sir. He looked around the small, dusty hotel and frowned. You shouldn't be here. You deserve better. Tamara looked confused. Sir, come work for me, he said simply. Her mouth fell open. Work for you? Yes, he nodded. I have a large house and several staff. I need someone I can trust. You'll be paid well, and your siblings will have everything they need. Tamara was speechless. Sir, I don't even know how to thank you. You already did, he said, smiling. You saved my life. He gave her his card. Come to this address tomorrow morning. Don't say no. Then he turned and walked back to his car. Tamara stood there in tears falling down her face. Was this really happening? Could life finally be giving her a second chance? That night, Tamara could barely sleep. She stared at the card again and again. It had his name printed in gold letters. Alexander Maurice, CEO Alex Holdings. Her heart beat fast. She had seen that name before, on magazines, on TV interviews, on billboards advertising luxury estates. The man she had dragged out of that wrecked car wasn't just any man. He was one of the richest and most powerful people in the country, and tomorrow, she was going to work for him. She looked out the window at the stars and whispered, Mama, Papa, maybe our luck is finally changing. That night she called a woman from church, Auntie Sandra. Auntie, please, I just got a job, as a live-in maid. Please Ild like Nora, and Michael to stay with you for the main time. I'll send money monthly for their upkeep, she said nervously. Auntie Sandra hesitated, then said okay, but don't miss a single month. If you do, I'll throw them out on the street. I won't, Auntie, God bless you, Tamara said with a soft smile. The next morning, Tamara stood in front of a massive white gate that looked like something out of a movie. She could hardly breathe. The mansion was enormous, tall glass windows, marble floors, flowers everywhere. She had never seen anything so beautiful. For a moment, she wondered if she had come to the wrong address. But then the gate opened, and a uniformed guard nodded politely. You're Miss Tamara. Yes, she said softly, Madam Grace is expecting you. He let her in. Tamara stepped through the gate like someone walking into another world. Inside, the air smelled of roses and new furniture. A serious-looking woman in her 50s met her at the door. You must be the new maid, the woman said sharply. Yes, Ma. I am Mrs. Grace. I run this house. You answer to me. Understood. Tamara nodded quickly. Yes, Ma. Good. Follow me. Mrs. Grace led her through the long hallway. Every step echoed. The house was filled with fine paintings, crystal vases, and gold accents. You'll clean the living room, the hallway, and Mr. Alex's study, Mrs. Grace said. Don't touch what you shouldn't. And don't get too comfortable. We don't keep staffs who cause trouble. Tamara nodded again, too nervous to speak. She began her work right away, dusting, polishing, sweeping carefully, afraid to break anything. For the first time in years, she felt safe. She could smell expensive soap, clean sheets, and fresh air. She whispered quietly to herself, Thank you, God. In the afternoon, while she was cleaning the piano in the living room, she heard footsteps. When she turned, her heart skipped. It was Alex. He looked different from the hospital, relaxed, warm, smiling. You came, he said, his voice soft. Yes, sir, she replied shyly. Thank you again for the opportunity. You earned it, he said. And please stop calling me sir. Alex is fine. Tamara hesitated. I can't call you that. He chuckled. Then call me whatever makes you comfortable. She smiled nervously. Okay, sir. He laughed. You're impossible. For a moment, they just looked at each other. A billionaire and a maid, standing in the same room, connected by something neither could explain. 1 week later, the calm in the mansion broke. A black limousine pulled into the driveway. Out stepped a beautiful woman in a cream-colored dress, wearing gold jewelry and dark glasses. She was elegant, commanding and cold. Every worker froze. Mrs. Grace whispered, Madam Victoria is home. Alex's mother, Tamara, was dusting the shelves when the woman entered the room. Her eyes swept across the space sharp, observant, and landed on Tamara. Who is that? She asked. That's the new maid, Ma, Mrs. Grace said quickly. The one Mr. Alex hired. Mrs. Morris's expression hardened. Oh? And where did he find her? Mrs. Grace hesitated. She helped him after the accident, Ma. Victoria turned to Tamara, her voice sharp and cold. So you saved my son, and now you think you belong here. Tamara's voice trembled. No, Ma. I'm just grateful for the job. The woman gave a small, bitter smile. Grateful? That's good. But remember you work here. Nothing more. Yes, Ma. As she turned to leave, Victoria said quietly, I know girls like you. You start humble, then forget your place. Tamara stood frozen as her footsteps faded away. From that day, the mansion felt heavier. Victoria didn't hide her dislike. She gave Tamara the hardest chores, scrubbing floors, polishing chandeliers, washing the biggest windows. And no matter how hard Tamara worked, it was never enough. You missed a spot. You ironed this wrong. Maybe you're not trained for a house like this. Tamara bore it all in silence. She needed the job. She couldn't go back to hunger. Alex noticed everything. One evening, he found Tamara still cleaning the dining room after everyone had gone to bed. Her hands were red and sore. You're still working? He asked gently. Yes, sir. Madam said this must shine before morning. He looked at her tired eyes and sighed. She's testing you. Don't let her win. Tamara smiled weakly. She's your mother, sir. I respect her. He stepped closer. Respect doesn't mean suffering in silence. He picked up the cloth from her hand and began wiping the table beside her. Tamara stared in disbelief. Sir, please don't. Relax, he said, smiling. I've never cleaned a table before. Let's see how it feels. She laughed a real, surprised laugh. The first in weeks. You're doing it wrong, she teased. Then teach me, he said softly. Their eyes met again, and something gentle passed between them, something neither could name. After that night, they started talking more. Sometimes, Alex would join her in the kitchen just to chat. He asked about her siblings, her dreams, her childhood. What did you want to be when you were a child? He asked one morning. A nurse, she said, smiling faintly. But life had other plans. Maybe it's not too late, he replied. Maybe, she said quietly. But I don't regret anything. If I hadn't lived the life I did, I might never have met you. He looked at her, really looked, and said softly, I think I was meant to meet you. Tamara's heart raced. She looked away quickly. Please, sir. Don't say that. Why not? He asked. Because it's not right. You're rich. I'm just a maid. He smiled gently. You're not just anything, Tamara. Their eyes met again, too long, too deep. Then Alex said what he had been holding back for weeks. Tamara, I think I'm falling in love with you. Her breath caught. Sir, please don't say that. Why not? It's the truth. Because love like this never ends well. We are from different worlds. Maybe, he whispered, but my world means nothing without you in it. Tamara's eyes filled with tears. She turned away, whispering, if your mother hears this, she'll destroy me. Alex's voice was steady. Then she'll have to go through me first. That night, neither of them slept. 4 weeks. The mansion felt like two worlds, one filled with whispered affection and quiet glances, and another full of cold judgment and sharp eyes watching every move. Tamara tried to hide her feelings. She tried to stay professional. But love has a way of growing even in the wrong soil, and Alex's heart was already hers. Mrs. Victoria Ease could feel it. Something had changed in her son. He smiled more, worked less, and worse. He always defended the maid. One morning, she confronted him in the dining room. Alexander, what's going on between you and that girl? Alex looked up from his coffee, calm but firm. Nothing you should worry about, Mum. Don't lie to me, she snapped. I see the way you look at her. You've never looked at anyone that way before. He sighed. Because I've never met anyone like her before. Her face turned pale with anger. You can't be serious. I am, he said simply. She's kind, strong, and real. She reminds me of what life used to feel like. She's a maid. Victoria shouted. Do you want to destroy this family's name for a girl from the streets? She saved my life, Alex said quietly. Now she owns my heart. Victoria's hands trembled with rage. If you don't end this foolishness, I will. She stormed out, but her eyes burned with a new fire, one that would soon set everything ablaze. Within a week, Mrs. Victoria began digging into Tamara's past. She called old contacts, hotel managers, and even an old gossip friend who worked with the media. She wanted to know everything about the maid who dared to love her son. And soon, she found it. A whisper from an old co-worker at Luna Hotel, a story about a desperate night. A blurry photo of a younger Tamara sitting beside a man in a hotel bar. That was all Victoria needed. So, she said to herself coldly, our perfect little maid is nothing but a whore. She smiled, a cruel, satisfied smile, and made a call. Yes, leak it. I want every blog in this city to talk about her by morning. The next day, the mansion was chaos. Phones rang. Cameras flashed outside the gate. Reporters shouted from the street. Tamara had just finished cleaning the kitchen when one of the other maids ran in, holding her phone. Tamara. Look, on the screen was a headline. Billionaire Alex Morris's maid-turned-lover once sold her body for money. Shocking details. Tamara's body went cold. She scrolled, her hands shaking. The article twisted her life into a nightmare. They called her a prostitute, a gold digger, a fraud. They wrote lies about her that she planned to trap Alex into marriage. That she was after his money all along. Her photo was everywhere. Her name, her shame, all public. Tamara fell to the floor, crying. Who did this to me? She whispered, but deep down, she knew. Alex stormed into his mother's room that evening. You did this, he said, his voice trembling with fury. Victoria didn't even look ashamed. You're welcome. I just saved you from making the biggest mistake of your life. You've destroyed her, he shouted. She's done nothing but love me. Love? Victoria laughed bitterly. She's not capable of love. She sold herself for money. She must have been desperate. Alex yelled. She was feeding her siblings. You think everyone had your kind of life? Victoria's voice went cold. A woman who sold her body once will always do it again. I won't let her stain our family. Alex stared at her with tears in his eyes. Then you've lost me too. He turned and walked out. Meanwhile, Tamara locked herself in her room. She could hear the staff whispering, the guards murmuring, the reporters shouting outside the gate. Her world had fallen apart again, just like it did the night her parents died. When Alex came to see her, she couldn't even look at him. Tamara, he said softly, please look at me. She turned, her eyes swollen. You saw it, didn't you? I did. And do you believe it? He paused. His silence broke her heart. So you do, she whispered. You think I'm dirty? No, he said quickly. I wish you had told me. Tears streamed down her face. I was afraid, Alex. Afraid that you'd see me the way everyone else does. He took her hands. I don't care what you did in the past. You're not that girl anymore. She shook her head. But the world doesn't care. They'll never let us be. He held her tightly. Then let's leave this world behind. That night, while the city slept, Alex packed a small bag. He left his phones, his suits, and his company behind. He only took her hand. They drove for hours, away from the noise, away from judgment, away from the mansion that had brought both luxury and pain. When they stopped, the sun was rising, the sky glowed orange, and birds sang softly in the distance. Alex turned to her and said, from now on, it's just you and me. No titles, no shame, just love. Tamara burst into tears. You gave up everything for me. He smiled. You gave me everything worth living for. They held each other as the sun climbed higher. Two broken souls, finally whole. Months passed. They settled in a quiet town by the hills. Alex opened a small real estate office, nothing fancy, just enough to stay busy. Tamara worked with a local charity, teaching poor children to read. They laughed more now. They cooked together. Sometimes, she would wake up early and find him watching her with a soft smile. What? She would ask, laughing. "Nothing," he'd say. "I'm just grateful." For the first time in years, they were happy, not because they had everything, but because they had peace. Back in the city, Mrs. Victoria's pride began to fade. She saw the headlines slowly disappear. She saw how her son never returned home, and loneliness began to eat her alive. One day, she asked her driver to take her to them. When she arrived, she found Tamara outside, tending to a small garden. The young woman froze when she saw her. "Ma." Victoria's voice trembled. "My dear, I came to say, I was wrong." Tamara's eyes widened. "I thought I was protecting my son, but I was destroying him. You gave him what money never could, peace. Please forgive me." Tamara's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to ask, Ma. I forgave you long ago." Mrs. Victoria broke down, crying quietly. "Thank you," she whispered. Alex came out of the house then, and for the first time in years, he hugged his mother tightly. The wound that pride created. Love finally healed. A few months later, under the open sky, Alex and Tamara stood before a small crowd of friends, her siblings, neighbors, and children from her charity. Tamara wore a simple white dress. Alex wore a plain black suit. There were no photographers, no reporters, no noise, just love. When the pastor said, "You may kiss your bride," the crowd cheered softly.